You don't need to talk louder to sound powerful. You need to talk with purpose. Real leaders don't chase attention, they command it. They don't argue. They influence. They don't react. They respond. The way you talk reflects the way you think, and the way you think defines your power. In this audiobook, you will learn how to speak so people stop and listen, how to use silence to dominate, and how to lead without forcing anyone to follow you. This is not about words. It's about presence. Welcome to How to Talk Like a Leader. Chapter 1. Speak less, say more. You talk too much. You explain too much. You give away your power with every unnecessary word. Leaders don't do that. Leaders don't fill silence. They use it. Leaders don't chase to be understood. They make people listen. That's the difference between noise and influence. Noise wants attention. Influence commands it. You have to learn to speak less and say more. Every word you say should have weight. Every word should serve a purpose. If it doesn't, it's wasted breath. And wasted breath weakens your presence. When you talk too much, you give people too much access. Too much access kills respect. That's the truth. People respect what they don't fully understand. They're drawn to mystery. They're drawn to calm confidence. And confidence isn't loud. Confidence is quiet. When you speak, you're revealing your mind. When you stay silent, you're revealing your strength. The best leaders know this. They understand that real authority comes from restraint. They know when to pause. They know when to let a moment breathe. They don't rush to fill space, they control it. You must master that skill. Because the world is loud. Everyone's talking. Everyone's proving. Everyone's trying to be heard. And that's exactly why silence stands out. Silence cuts through the noise like a blade. It says, I don't need your attention to feel powerful. It says, I am in control of myself. And that's what people feel, control. Control is magnetic. It's rare. It's attractive. When you hold silence, you're showing control. When you pause before speaking, you're showing dominance. When you choose your words, you're showing confidence. Every word you speak should earn its place. Say that to yourself. Every word must earn its place. That's the rule of powerful communication. Leaders use precision. They remove filler. They don't ramble. They don't overshare. They don't explain things 3 times to be liked. They say what needs to be said, once, with clarity. Then they stop talking. They let their message sink in. You have to learn to be comfortable with that stillness. You have to learn to let silence do the talking. Because silence is not emptiness. Silence is a message. Silence says, I'm not desperate for your understanding. Silence says, I trust what I just said. Silence says, I know my value. And when you know your value, you don't oversell it. That's the core of leadership communication. It's not about volume. It's about value. It's not about how much you say. It's about how true it sounds. You have to stop trying to prove your intelligence through words. You prove it through composure, through clarity, through discipline. Every great communicator, from CEOs to generals, learned one truth early: the more you speak, the less people remember. The less you speak, the more people listen. That's the paradox of influence. You think people respect those who talk the most, but they respect those who talk the least, and mean every word. Start listening to yourself today. Notice how often you speak just to fill the gap. Notice how often you repeat what's already clear. Notice how often you say things you don't need to say. Then stop. Pause. Breathe. Wait. You'll feel uncomfortable at first. You'll want to explain yourself. You'll want to justify. That's your ego, not your leadership. Your ego wants to be understood. Your leadership wants to be effective. You have to choose one. You can't be both loud and respected. You want people to take you seriously? Then stop giving them so much of you. Let them wonder what you're thinking. Let them sit in your silence. When you stop rushing to fill space, you start controlling it. And control, quiet, calm, grounded control, is the foundation of authority. Every great leader has mastered that rhythm. Speak. Pause. Let it land. They let silence carry the message deeper than words ever could. They let their calm energy do the work. Your energy speaks before your mouth does. If your energy is desperate, your words will sound weak. If your energy is confident, your words will sound powerful. That's why you must learn to control your presence before you open your mouth. Don't talk to fill air. Talk to move minds. And when you do speak, make it matter. Make it intentional. Make it final. Don't say 10 sentences when one will do. Don't repeat yourself because you're afraid they didn't get it. If they didn't get it, they weren't meant to. That's not your problem. You don't need their validation. You don't need their reaction. You don't need their nod of approval. You need discipline. The discipline to be selective. The discipline to be clear. The discipline to stop talking when enough has been said. That's power. Power is not in how loud you speak. It's in how little you need to. When you walk into a room, people should feel your silence before they hear your words. When you speak, they should know it means something. When you finish, they should remember it. That's the art of saying less and meaning more. So from now on, every conversation is your practice ground. Every meeting, every message, every reply, train yourself. Count your words. Cut the fluff. Eliminate the filler. Say only what matters. Don't explain. Don't justify. Don't repeat. Say it once, clearly, and stop. If silence follows, good. Let it. That's when your words start working for you. You're not trying to fill space anymore. You're trying to own it. You're not trying to be liked anymore. You're trying to lead. That's the shift. That's the transformation. So remember this every time you open your mouth. Every word must earn its place. If it doesn't serve your purpose, remove it. If it doesn't build respect, silence it. If it doesn't move the conversation forward, let it go. You don't need to speak constantly to be heard. You need to speak intentionally to be respected. And respect, true, quiet, unshakable respect, is earned through silence, restraint, and precision. That's the mindset of a leader. That's the voice of power. That's the discipline of communication. You've learned how to control your words. Now it's time to control your tone, the energy behind every word you say. Chapter 2. Control the tone, control the room. You can say all the right words. You can memorize the perfect speech. You can plan every line in your head, but if your tone is wrong, it all falls apart. Because tone is power. Tone is presence. Tone is energy in sound form. You don't lead people with words. You lead them with how those words sound. That's the secret nobody tells you. You can't fake authority through vocabulary, but you can project it through tone. The person who controls their tone controls the room. Not the loudest. Not the smartest. Not the one who speaks first, but the one whose voice carries calm certainty. That's what leadership sounds like. You can feel it when it walks into a room. You can sense it before they even speak. Their tone is grounded. Their voice is slow. Their delivery is steady, never rushed, never desperate. That's control. Because your tone reflects your state of mind. If your tone shakes, your mind shakes. If your tone rushes, your thoughts rush. If your tone hesitates, people sense insecurity instantly. And in leadership, people respond to what they feel, not just what they hear. That's the key. People can't always explain why they trust someone, but deep down, it's because of tone, the calmness, the steadiness, the authority that says, I'm not here to prove anything. I'm here to lead. So ask yourself, what does your tone say about you? Does it say, I'm confident? Or does it say, I'm trying too hard? Does it say, I'm in control? Or does it say, please listen to me? Every tone carries a message beneath the words. That's what people respond to. You must learn the art of tonal discipline, because leadership begins with sound, not speech. Here's your rule: low and slow. Lower your voice. Slow your words. Breathe deeper. Those 3 actions alone change how people see you. When you speak lower, people lean in. When you slow down, people listen longer. When you breathe, you stay in control. It's not about being theatrical or robotic. It's about being grounded. Grounded tone communicates one thing: I'm not reacting. I'm choosing. And that changes everything. Because most people talk from emotion. They talk from fear. They talk from stress. They talk from the need to be heard. But leaders, they talk from clarity. They talk from peace. They talk from control. They understand that tone is energy management. When you manage your tone, you manage the energy of the entire room. Imagine this: 2 people in conflict. One starts shouting, emotional, agitated. The other stays calm, steady, deliberate. Who wins? The calm one. Every time. Why? Because emotion burns out. Control endures. You can't outshout insecurity. You can only outlast it. That's why you never match chaos with chaos. You answer it with control. Your tone becomes your anchor. When people get emotional, your tone stays level. When people get loud, your tone gets softer. When people get nervous, your tone gets slower. That's how you reset the room. That's how you command it. You're not controlling others. You're controlling yourself. And that self-control spreads. People start matching your rhythm. They lower their voice. They slow their pace. They calm down. That's real influence. That's leadership through tone. The best communicators understand this instinctively. They don't rush their sentences. They don't fill their pauses. They don't stumble over approval-seeking words. Their tone says, I've already decided who I am. And that's magnetic. You want to command a room? Stop trying to sound powerful. Start trying to sound calm. Power is calm. Power doesn't shout. Power doesn't tremble. Power doesn't beg to be understood. Power speaks like it knows it will be heard. That's your new standard. When you speak, check yourself. Is my tone tense or grounded? Is my pace rushed or deliberate? Am I trying to dominate or simply guide? Because domination isn't leadership. Control is. Your tone must feel like direction, not desperation. Think of the great leaders, coaches, and generals. They don't scream to lead. They speak in a way that makes everyone go quiet. They make every word count because the tone behind it carries certainty. You can train this. Every conversation is a practice. Next time someone tests your patience, pause. Breathe. Lower your tone. Let the silence hang. Then speak with clarity. That pause, that breath, that moment of control, that's where leadership lives. You have to learn to slow down your delivery until it feels unnatural. Because when it feels slow to you, it sounds calm to them. That's the secret to composure. Your voice should never chase attention. It should draw it. When you speak with calm certainty, people feel safe. They trust you. They listen. And that's your advantage. You don't need more words. You need better tone. You don't need more speed. You need more control. You don't need to talk louder. You need to sound clearer. Because tone is not just what you project, it's what you believe. Your tone reveals your internal state. If you believe in yourself, your tone will show it. If you're unsure, your tone will expose it. That's why tone work starts with inner work. You must build the internal calm before you open your mouth. Your words can't hide your emotions forever. Your tone always tells the truth. So build stillness. Build composure. Build quiet confidence. Then let your tone carry that energy outward. And remember this rule: tone first, words second. Before you walk into any room, ask yourself, what energy do I want people to feel when I speak? Not what I want to say, but what I want them to feel. That's leadership through energy, not effort. When you master tone, you no longer chase respect, you attract it. When you master tone, people listen without knowing why. When you master tone, your presence commands silence before you even speak. That's how you control the room. Not by speaking first. Not by speaking loudest. But by speaking from calm conviction. So train it daily. Record your voice. Listen to yourself. Notice the tension. Notice the speed. Notice the pitch. Then fix it. Breathe deeper. Slow it down. Drop it lower. This isn't about acting, it's about alignment. When your tone aligns with your power, people feel it instantly. Your tone should sound like this: unshakable, certain, grounded. Because that's who you're becoming, a leader who doesn't lose control. So as you move forward, remember, your tone is your weapon. Your calm is your armor. Your voice is your command. You don't need permission to be heard. You just need the discipline to speak with control. Because the one who controls the tone controls the room. Always. You've learned to control your sound. Now, it's time to control your message. Let's move to the next lesson, the secret every leader lives by. Chapter 3. Never explain, just state. Leaders don't explain themselves. They state their truth, clearly, calmly, and confidently. Because when you start explaining, you start defending. And when you start defending, you give away your power. That's the difference between a follower and a leader. Followers justify. Leaders declare. Listen carefully. Every explanation weakens your authority. It signals doubt. It signals guilt. It signals that you're seeking validation. And a leader never seeks validation. A leader sets the tone. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your standards, your pace, your focus, or your boundaries. When you say, I don't drink, or I don't do gossip, or I'm leaving early to work on my goals, that's it. Full stop. You don't need to explain why. Because explanation is a form of negotiation, and leaders don't negotiate with small minds. They state what is. They declare what's true. Think about this. When a judge delivers a verdict, they don't explain it like they're apologizing. They declare it. When a CEO sets a direction, they don't ramble. They announce it. When a commander gives an order, they don't justify. They state it with certainty. That's how you must speak. Stop softening your language with endless because. Stop defending your choices with I just thought, or I hope that's okay. Every time you explain, you step down from your throne. You become smaller. You start playing to be liked instead of leading to be respected. Understand this. Explaining is emotional leakage. It's what insecure people do when they don't trust their own word. But you're learning to talk like a leader. That means you speak with finality. You own your message. Let's be clear. There's a massive difference between communicating clearly and over-explaining. Communication informs others. Over-explaining convinces others. And convincing is weakness. When you communicate, your intent is clarity. When you explain, your intent is approval. That's the key. You don't need approval. You need alignment. You need results. You need respect. When you start explaining yourself, you're essentially saying, please understand me. A leader doesn't ask for understanding. A leader expects alignment. If someone doesn't get it, that's their problem, not yours. Here's a rule to tattoo on your mind. Say it once. Say it clearly. Then shut up. Don't repeat yourself. Don't elaborate to please. Don't cushion your decision with emotional padding. A leader's word must stand on its own. That's how you build authority, not by talking more, but by speaking once with conviction. When you say something like, "This is how we'll proceed," or "That won't work for me," say it once. Don't follow up with excuses. Notice how most people ruin their authority. They say, "I can't come tonight." Then they add, "Because I'm tired, because I have work tomorrow, because I didn't sleep." They dilute their message. A leader just says, "I can't come." That's it. Complete sentence. No justification. No emotional leakage. People respect boundaries that are firm. They test boundaries that are explained. When you explain, people sense there's room to argue. When you state, people sense it's final. Your tone communicates power long before your words do. And this isn't arrogance, it's authority. It's not about ego, it's about energy. The energy of someone who doesn't need permission to stand their ground. Remember, you train people how to treat you by how you talk. If you always explain, people will always question you. If you state with conviction, people will adjust to your standard. That's leadership in action, not from position, but from presence. Now, here's how to practice this in real life. Start eliminating soft language. No more "I just wanted to say," no more "I think maybe we should," no more "I hope that's fine." Replace those with direct statements. "Here's what we'll do. This is my decision. That doesn't align with my priorities." You'll feel uncomfortable at first. You'll feel like you sound harsh. But that's not harshness, that's clarity. You've been trained to soften your truth to make others comfortable. Leaders reverse that. They make truth comfortable and excuses uncomfortable. That's the shift. Let's dig deeper. Why do people over-explain? Because they're afraid of being misunderstood. Because they crave approval. Because they were conditioned to seek acceptance before action. But the truth is this: misunderstanding is inevitable. No matter how much you explain, some people will never get you. And that's fine, because leaders are not here to be understood by everyone. They're here to be respected by the right ones. You can't lead if you're trying to be liked. You can't influence if you're constantly explaining your every move. You lose your mystery. You lose your edge. You lose your presence. So, stop explaining. Start embodying. Your actions will speak for you. Your results will clarify your intentions. Your tone will convey your certainty. And when that happens, you no longer need to explain, because everyone already knows you mean what you say. Here's the paradox. When you stop explaining, people listen more. They start to lean in. They sense your certainty. They may not always agree, but they will respect. Because confidence in silence is magnetic. It draws people in without effort. When you speak like a leader, brief, clear, unapologetic, the room adjusts to your energy. You don't chase attention. You command it. That's power. That's leadership. Let's make this real. Next time someone asks, "Why do you do it that way?" Don't explain. Simply say, "Because that's how I operate." When someone says, "Why didn't you join us?" just say, "It wasn't a priority." No defense. No story. No energy leak. You'll notice something incredible. The less you explain, the more seriously people take you. The more you justify, the less they listen. It's not about arrogance. It's about clarity. It's about conserving your energy for things that matter. You don't owe everyone an essay for every decision. You owe yourself your peace, your standards, and your direction. Every word you speak teaches people how to read you. When you explain, they read you as unsure. When you state, they read you as certain. So here's the mantra for this chapter: never explain. Just state. Say it until it becomes part of your DNA. Until silence becomes more powerful than justification. Until your voice carries weight without extra words. Because real leaders don't talk to convince. They talk to command clarity. That's your next step. Train your mind to detach from the need to explain. Once you do, your presence becomes undeniable. You've now mastered the art of authority through words. But words alone aren't enough. True power lies in how you carry them. You've learned to state without apology. Now, let's move to the next level, nonverbal dominance. Chapter 4. Silence is a weapon. Silence. The most powerful voice you'll ever use. The leader's secret weapon. Because when everyone else talks to fill space, a leader uses silence to create it. When others rush to speak, a leader waits. When others react emotionally, a leader observes. That's power. That's control. That's what separates those who lead from those who beg to be heard. Understand this. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. It's not the absence of power, it's the concentration of it. Weak people speak to prove something. Strong people stay silent to prove nothing. When you master silence, you master perception. You make others reveal themselves while you remain unreadable. You shift the energy in any room, not by volume, but by presence. You don't fight for attention. Attention gravitates toward you. You don't demand respect. Silence commands it. Most people are terrified of silence. They interpret it as rejection, tension, or awkwardness. So they fill it with excuses, nervous laughter, pointless words. But a leader knows that silence is not empty. It's full. Full of focus. Full of control. Full of intention. When you stay silent, you own the moment. You force others to sit in your energy. You make them wait for your next move. And that wait, that pause, builds anticipation. Every great leader, every great negotiator, every great commander knows this. The pause is where the power lives. Let's be clear, silence is not about passivity. It's about precision. You're not being quiet because you have nothing to say. You're being quiet because your words will hit harder when they come. Every silence must serve a purpose. That's the rule. If you're silent out of fear, you're shrinking. If you're silent out of discipline, you're expanding. Silence used with intention creates dominance. Think about a lion. It doesn't roar all day. It sits quietly, alert, unbothered, until it moves. That's how power works. It doesn't announce itself. It waits. Your silence should make people wonder, not ignore. It should create mystery, not confusion. When you speak rarely but with weight, people lean in. They listen closer. Because your silence taught them that your voice is valuable. That's leadership psychology. You train people to respect your words through the way you handle your silence. Most people destroy their authority by talking too much. They explain. They defend. They fill every second of air because silence feels unbearable. But silence isn't unbearable, it's uncomfortable. And discomfort is where growth happens. If you can't sit in silence, you can't handle power. Because leadership is quiet pressure. It's being calm when everyone else panics. It's speaking last when everyone else scrambles to be first. You don't need to prove your intelligence with words. You prove it with timing. Your restraint becomes your reputation. Here's the truth. People remember your silence longer than your sentences. When you pause before answering, you show thought. When you don't react immediately, you show strength. When you withhold response, you control the frame. Because silence forces others to fill the gap, and that's when they reveal everything. Their insecurity, their intent, their truth. You learn more by being quiet than by talking. You see patterns. You hear tone. You notice hesitation. That's how leaders make calculated moves, not emotional ones. They use silence as surveillance. They listen to power. Here's how to practice it. When someone challenges you, don't rush to defend yourself. Pause. Hold your ground. Look them in the eye. Let the silence do the heavy lifting. They'll feel the weight. They'll start to explain themselves. And without saying a word, you've already won. That's how you use silence to shift control. When someone tries to provoke you, don't react. Pause again. Because every emotional reaction gives away energy. But silence? Silence absorbs it. It's your shield. It's your sword. It's your armor. Remember this line: he who speaks first loses. In business, in arguments, in negotiations, the one who fills the silence reveals weakness. The one who holds the silence dictates the game. That's why silence is a weapon. It disarms others without confrontation. It makes you unpredictable, and unpredictability is power. When people can't read you, they can't control you. That's leadership. Not being loud, but being unreadable. Not reacting, but directing. But let's go deeper. Silence doesn't just dominate others, it develops you. It's in silence that you reflect. It's in silence that you grow self-awareness. It's in silence that you connect with intuition. Noise keeps you reactive. Silence makes you intentional. When you sit alone in silence, your mind starts to reorder itself. You begin to see patterns in your thoughts. You start understanding your motives. You start mastering yourself. Leaders live in that space, not in distraction, but in direction. Their silence isn't loneliness. It's leadership training. Understand this deeply. Your silence is the foundation of your presence. Your silence builds emotional control. And emotional control builds influence. People will test you. They'll push your buttons, provoke reactions, question your choices. Don't give them the satisfaction of your emotional energy. When you stay silent, you maintain control of the frame. It's not about ignoring them, it's about choosing your moment. Because every word you say from emotional imbalance loses credibility. But every silence you hold from inner calm multiplies respect. That's mastery. That's the discipline of a leader. Now, here's the paradox. The quieter you become, the louder your influence grows. Because silence is not absence, it's presence amplified. When you speak, your words hit harder because they emerge from stillness, not noise. That's why people listen when real leaders talk, not because of volume, but because of vibration. Their silence before they speak builds weight behind every sentence. So stop fearing silence. Use it. Let it sharpen you. Let it separate you. Let it serve you. You have to understand, silence is not the enemy. It's your advantage. It's what gives your words meaning, your actions purpose, and your leadership gravity. The more you master it, the more you control the room without speaking. The more people lean toward you without you reaching for them. And that's when you realize, true leaders don't chase attention. They attract it through controlled energy, through stillness, through silence. That's the power most people will never understand, because they're too busy talking. So here's your command. From today, use silence deliberately. Pause before responding. Wait before reacting. Hold your ground before explaining. Let your calmness unsettle people. Let your silence make them question their noise. And remember this line, make it your mantra: silence is not emptiness. It's dominance. That's how leaders speak without speaking. That's how you turn restraint into respect. You've learned to speak less and say more. You've learned to control tone and energy. You've learned to stop explaining and start commanding. And now, you've mastered silence. But leadership isn't only about how you talk or when you stay quiet. It's also about what you radiate. You've built authority with words and silence. Now it's time to build presence without effort. Chapter 5. Emotional control is the real voice of power. Emotional control. The rarest skill. The quietest power. The real voice of authority. Because no matter how well you speak, no matter how confident your words sound, if your emotions control you, your message loses weight. People don't follow words, they follow energy. And energy comes from emotional stability. You can't lead if you can't stay calm. You can't influence if you're easily triggered. You can't project power if you're fighting your own emotions inside. Emotional control is not about suppressing feelings. It's about mastering them. It's about deciding when, how, and if your emotions deserve a reaction. That's the key. Leaders are calm under fire. They don't panic. They don't lash out. They don't lose their center. When pressure rises, they don't crumble, they stabilize. That's what separates the strong from the impulsive. That's what separates those who lead from those who follow feelings. Understand this. Anyone can look powerful when things are easy. True leadership appears when chaos hits. Your reaction under stress tells the world who you are. It reveals your maturity. It reveals your discipline. When others lose their temper, your calm becomes intimidating. When others argue, your silence becomes commanding. When others try to provoke you, your composure breaks their control. That's the invisible dominance of emotional control. You've probably seen it before. A person who stays calm while everyone else spirals. They don't yell. They don't match energy. They simply stand still. Focused. Grounded. That's who people follow. That's who people trust. Because chaos exposes weakness, but composure reveals confidence. The calmest person in the room always holds the most power. Always. Your calmness sends a signal, I am in control. And people can feel that. They don't even need to hear you speak. That's leadership energy. It's not loud. It's stable. Let me make this clear. Emotional control doesn't mean you never feel anger, fear, or frustration. It means you own those emotions instead of being owned by them. You decide how to use your emotions, not the other way around. Because every emotion is energy, and energy can be directed. You can turn anger into focus. You can turn fear into awareness. You can turn pain into persistence. That's emotional alchemy. That's what powerful people do. They don't waste energy reacting. They convert it into action. Most people are emotional slaves. They let others pull their strings. Someone insults them, they explode. Someone disagrees, they defend. Someone ignores them, they feel insecure. That's weakness disguised as sensitivity. If you let others control how you feel, they control your behavior. If they control your behavior, they control your outcomes. And that means they own you. You can't talk like a leader if your emotions dictate your tone. You can't be respected if you're always reacting. Emotional control is freedom. It's the difference between power and dependency. So remember this, you are not your emotions. You are the one who decides what to do with them. Here's a truth that most people don't want to accept. Power is not loud. Power is patient. Power is not emotional. Power is intentional. You don't win arguments by being right. You win by being calm. You don't influence others by proving. You influence by controlling the energy of the room. Emotional control gives you that ability. The moment you stop reacting to provocation, you rise above manipulation. No one can control you if you control yourself. Think about it in terms of leadership communication. When someone challenges you, stay composed. When someone attacks you verbally, breathe before responding. When someone tries to make you emotional, remember, they want your reaction. Don't give it to them. Reacting gives them power. Responding gives you control. That's how emotional mastery works. It's a quiet reversal of power. Repeat this until it's in your DNA. My calm is my strength. Say it again. My calm is my strength. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to rush to be respected. You don't need to react to prove power. The moment you hold your emotional ground, the entire environment adjusts to your energy. That's how real influence works. It's not about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself so deeply that others naturally follow your lead. Let's talk about emotional triggers. Every leader has them. Disrespect, criticism, doubt, opposition. But here's the truth. The stronger you get, the smaller your triggers should become. Because a leader doesn't waste emotional energy on what doesn't move the mission forward. If it doesn't build you, it shouldn't bother you. If it doesn't challenge your purpose, it doesn't deserve your reaction. That's emotional maturity. When someone disagrees with you, good. Let them. Your job isn't to win arguments. Your job is to win direction. When someone mocks your vision, smile. Let them. They don't see what you see. When someone disrespects you, don't explain. Hold your silence. Because silence backed by emotional control is 10 times louder than any outburst. That's how you earn quiet respect. Remember, emotions are contagious. If you lose control, others will too. If you stay centered, others stabilize around you. Your calm sets the tone. Your energy defines the atmosphere. Your composure becomes the anchor in chaos. People subconsciously trust the one who remains calm. Because calmness signals competence. And competence builds confidence. That's why leaders are followed, not because they're perfect, but because they project safety. You want to talk like a leader? Then sound like someone who isn't controlled by emotion. Speak steady. Speak slow. Speak clear. Your tone should say, "I'm not shaken." Your posture should say, "I'm grounded." Your words should say, "I know where I'm going." That's leadership communication. That's how emotional control transforms your voice into power. But make no mistake, emotional control takes discipline. It's not a one-time decision, it's a daily practice. You will be tested. You will be provoked. You will feel anger rise inside you. But every time you pause, breathe, and choose not to react, you're training yourself for greater strength. You're becoming less reactive, more intentional. Less emotional, more effective. And eventually, that calm will become your default state. You'll walk into chaos and stay centered. You'll face disrespect and remain composed. You'll face stress and still speak with clarity. Because you'll know, you don't need to control everything. You only need to control yourself. That's emotional intelligence at its highest level. So remember, your emotional control is your leadership identity. It's what earns trust, commands respect, and amplifies your authority. Anyone can talk like a leader, but only those who master their emotions can stay one. Don't let emotions steal your power. Don't let impulses define your message. Don't let others decide how you feel. You have a choice. You always have a choice. And when you choose calm over chaos, response over reaction, presence over panic, you win. Every single time. Your voice doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be controlled. Because when your emotions obey your mind, your presence speaks louder than any words. That's the real voice of power. You've learned to hold your silence. You've learned to command your emotions. Now it's time to channel that composure into how you make people feel when you speak. Because leadership isn't just what you say, it's the energy you transmit. Chapter 6. Command respect without forcing it. Respect. It is not given. It is not demanded. It is earned. And the worst mistake most people make is trying to force respect. They raise their voices. They issue threats. They posture aggressively. They confuse fear with respect. That's not leadership. That's weakness masquerading as authority. Real respect comes from presence, not pressure. It comes from consistency, not confrontation. It comes from behavior, not bravado. You have a choice. You can try to dominate and intimidate, or you can choose the path of influence, the path of quiet power. That's the key. Think about the executive in the boardroom. Everyone is talking over each other. People are vying for attention. Opinions fly fast. Then, one person remains silent, calm, observant, waiting. The chatter dies down. Eyes shift. The room leans in. And when this person finally speaks, it lands. Every word. Every sentence. No yelling. No arguing. No force. The room respects them instantly. That's how respect works. It is earned through self-control, not aggression. Here's the first principle. Control yourself before expecting control from others. You don't earn respect by trying to control everyone else. You earn it by controlling yourself. your tone, your posture, your words, your reactions, your composure. All of it communicates authority. All of it communicates confidence. All of it communicates that you do not need permission. That's the difference between someone who commands respect and someone who begs for it. Leaders understand energy. They know that respect is a reaction to the way you carry yourself. It's the quiet weight behind your words, not the volume of them. It's the confidence in your movement, the steadiness in your gaze, the calm in your voice. When people sense self-possession, they respond with alignment. When people sense insecurity, they respond with exploitation. So, stop trying to push others into respect. Stop trying to win through aggression. Stop proving yourself to those who aren't worth your energy. You don't need their permission. You don't need their approval. You don't need their validation. Let's get practical. First, posture matters. Stand tall. Shoulders back. Chin slightly lifted. Look people in the eye, not to intimidate, but to project calm certainty. That's the non-verbal language of authority. Second, speak last whenever possible. Let others speak first. Let them make mistakes. Let them reveal their positions. When you speak, your words carry weight because you waited. Timing is power. Silence builds it. You don't need to rush to the front. Third, listen more than you talk. Listening communicates respect, and respect breeds respect in return. When you listen, you're absorbing information. You're observing weaknesses. You're understanding intentions. All without saying a word. The quiet executive isn't quiet because they lack ideas. They're quiet because they understand the impact of their words. Here's the truth. Respect is contagious. If you act respectfully, people mirror it. If you stay calm under pressure, people adjust their energy to match yours. If you carry yourself with confidence, they instinctively acknowledge it. You don't demand it, you model it. You don't enforce it, you embody it. You don't argue for it, you project it. And when you do this consistently, respect becomes automatic. Most people try to get respect through fear. They yell. They threaten. They micromanage. They confuse compliance with admiration. Here's the reality. Fear only lasts as long as the threat exists. Respect lasts long after you've left the room. Fear dies with circumstance. Respect remains because it is earned. You don't have to fight for it. You just have to show up correctly. Self-control is the backbone of respect. You have a choice every day: react impulsively, or pause and respond. Chase approval, or focus on integrity. React to provocation, or hold your ground calmly. Choose the second. Every time. That's how leaders operate. That's how influence is built. Remember this mantra: respect is earned through presence, not permission. Say it aloud. Say it to yourself. Say it until it becomes your operating system. Let's break down real-world application. In a meeting, someone challenges you aggressively. Most people respond with defensiveness. They argue. They justify. They over-explain. A leader responds differently. They pause. They breathe. They acknowledge. Then they state their position with calm authority. No emotion. No ego. No justification. Just clarity. Just confidence. Just control. That's how respect is commanded, not demanded. Another scenario: you're negotiating. People try to undermine you. They question your competence. They attempt to intimidate. Most people crumble. They overcompensate. They overtalk. They over-apologize. You stay still. You keep composure. You let silence work. When you finally speak, your words carry weight. Every word matters because it's rare, because it's measured, because it's intentional. People notice. People respect that. This principle applies in personal life too. In friendships, family, or relationships, those who react impulsively earn chaos. Those who respond with calm authority earn respect. Self-control isn't just about avoiding mistakes, it's about creating influence. It's about signaling that your energy is not for sale. It's about teaching others that your boundaries are non-negotiable. Here's a hard truth. People test boundaries constantly. They try to provoke. They try to push. They try to see how much they can get away with. You have a choice. You can react and lose respect. Or you can respond intentionally and gain it. That's the key. It's not about dominance. It's about discipline. Let's summarize the actionable steps. Stand tall. Project calm certainty. Your posture speaks before you do. Speak last and strategically. Let others reveal themselves first. Listen more than you talk. Observing energy builds authority. Pause before responding. Emotional reactions give power away. Calm responses command it. Model respect. Influence people through your behavior, not through words or threats. Consistency in these actions builds invisible authority. Invisible authority builds trust. Trust builds influence. Influence creates respect. Remember, the world doesn't hand out respect. It doesn't recognize intentions alone. It only recognizes results, composure, and presence. You don't need to demand respect. You don't need to prove yourself. You don't need to manipulate anyone. You have a choice. You always have a choice. Choose self-control. Choose composure. Choose presence. That's how you earn attention. That's how you earn alignment. That's how you earn respect. Here's your challenge. From today, stop trying to force respect. Stop yelling, over-explaining, or proving yourself. Start holding your posture, controlling your tone, speaking with intention, and observing with calm focus. Because the people who command respect are not the loudest. They are the most disciplined. They are the most consistent. They are the ones who project authority through presence, not pressure. You've learned to speak with precision. You've learned to hold silence. You've learned to control your emotions. Now it's time to earn respect without even asking for it. You mastered your calm. Now, let's talk about how to make your presence unforgettable. Chapter 7. The Language of Influence. Influence. Not manipulation. Not coercion. Not empty charm. Real influence is the ability to get people to act, think, or feel in alignment with your vision, without force, without drama, without desperation. That's the language we are talking about. The unspoken signals, the carefully chosen words, the strategic timing. That is how leaders shape the world around them. You have a choice. You can yell, demand, and try to control. Or you can speak influence, quietly and deliberately. That's the key. Let's start with a truth most people ignore. Influence begins before you speak. Your posture, your tone, your presence. All of it communicates before a single word leaves your mouth. If you appear uncertain, hesitant, or reactive, your words will carry no weight. If you appear grounded, confident, and in control, every word resonates. Your body speaks. Your energy speaks. Your calmness speaks. Words amplify what already exists. That's why people say, the message isn't in the words. It's in the energy. That's true influence. Influence is not about convincing everyone. It's not about arguments. It's not about being liked. It's about alignment. Getting the right people to see your perspective, adopt your plan, and move toward the results you envision. And that starts with control. Control of your words. Control of your tone. Control of your presence. Every leader knows, influence is intentional. Influence is deliberate. Influence is repeatable. Here's the first rule of the language of influence. Simplicity is power. Stop over-explaining. Stop using complex words to sound smart. Stop adding fluff to prove authority. People respond to clarity. They respond to precision. Every sentence must serve a purpose. Every word must earn its place. Repetition is your friend. It reinforces the idea. It imprints the message. The second rule: tone carries more weight than content. A calm, steady, authoritative voice creates alignment. A frantic, defensive, or reactive tone triggers resistance. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. A single well-delivered sentence with confidence and clarity can do more than an hour of rambling. Leaders understand this. They know that influence is more about how something is communicated than what is communicated. That's the language of power. That's the difference between being heard and being obeyed. The third rule: pause strategically. Silence is not just a weapon, it is also a tool of influence. A well-timed pause emphasizes a point. It creates anticipation. It forces the listener to lean in and internalize what you've just said. If you rush, you dilute the impact. If you overtalk, you confuse. If you fill every second, you exhaust attention. Pause. Let the weight of your words settle. Let people digest. Let influence grow. Let's talk about word choice. Influential leaders speak in decisive terms. They avoid uncertain language, maybe, I think, possibly. Instead, they say, "This works. We will achieve it. I expect results." Certainty breeds confidence. Confidence breeds trust. Trust breeds action. That's influence. It's not about being harsh. It's about being clear. It's not about controlling outcomes. It's about guiding the conversation. It's not about dominating minds. It's about inspiring movement. Influence also requires understanding your audience. You don't talk to everyone the same way. You observe. You listen. You adapt. You use the same words differently depending on the person, the situation, and the desired result. Influence is relational. It's situational. It's psychological. And the great news? It's learnable. Here's a method to start practicing immediately. Observe first. Watch reactions. Listen for resistance points. Take note of concerns. Frame your message. Lead with clarity. Speak in terms that matter to the listener. Deliver with authority. Steady tone, deliberate pace, confident posture. Pause and reinforce. Give your words space to land. Repeat key phrases. Do this consistently, and you will notice a shift. People stop arguing. People stop dismissing. People begin to follow. Remember this mantra: influence is not forced. Influence is earned through presence, tone, and precision. Repeat it. Say it every morning. Make it your operating principle. It's not optional if you want to speak like a leader. It's mandatory. Real-world example. Consider the quiet executive in a boardroom. They rarely interrupt. They let others speak first. They listen, observe, and nod thoughtfully. When it's time to speak, they deliver one clear, concise sentence. The room stops. People shift. The energy changes. No shouting. No intimidation. Just calm, intentional influence. That's power. That's respect. That's the language of influence. Another example. Negotiation. Someone tries to push you into a corner. Most people panic. They overtalk. They try to justify, persuade, and explain themselves endlessly. The influential leader pauses. They observe the energy. They choose precise words that align with the desired outcome. And when they speak, it lands like a hammer, soft, but impossible to ignore. Influence isn't about arguing harder. It's about speaking smarter. It's about reading the room and delivering impact with precision. Influence also requires emotional control. If you're reactive, if you're defensive, if you're emotionally charged, your words lose their power. You must maintain calm. You must master your emotions. You must decide that no circumstance will dictate your tone, your energy, or your authority. That's why previous chapters on silence and emotional control are essential. They are the foundation of influence. You cannot influence effectively if your energy is chaotic. You cannot inspire if you are reactive. You cannot lead if your words are weakened by emotion. So, what's the actionable takeaway for the listener? Own your energy. Calm, measured, steady. Choose words intentionally. Every word earns its place. Pause for impact. Silence amplifies power. Adapt to your audience. Observe, listen, respond. Project certainty. Remove doubt. Replace hesitation with authority. Do this consistently. Influence becomes effortless. Your presence becomes magnetic. Your words carry weight. Final truth: influence is invisible until it is recognized. It is subtle until it works. It is quiet until it commands attention. You do not have to scream to be heard. You do not have to dominate to lead. You do not have to convince to move people. The language of influence is the intersection of presence, precision, tone, and timing. Master it, and people listen because they want to, not because they have to. You've learned to speak with precision. You've learned to control tone. You've learned to stay silent strategically. You've learned to command respect without force. Now you understand how to shape minds and decisions with intentional words, pauses, and presence. Influence is no longer a mystery. It is a skill. It is a strategy. It is your weapon. You've spoken. You've listened. You've observed. Now it's time to move people, without moving a finger. Chapter 8. Master Presence Before You Speak. Presence. It is the unseen force behind every word you speak. It is the energy that fills the room before you even open your mouth. It is the foundation of authority, influence, and leadership. You have a choice. You can enter a room unnoticed, ignored, and dismissed, or you can command attention without saying a word. That's the key. Most people underestimate presence. They think speaking louder, arguing harder, or proving themselves earns respect. It doesn't. Presence does. Presence is the energy you radiate. Presence is the confidence that seeps through your posture, your gaze, your breathing. Presence is silent authority. It's not about being loud. It's not about filling space. It's about owning space. Here's the first truth: your body speaks first. Before words leave your mouth, people read your posture. They read your gestures. They read the steadiness of your gaze. They read your energy, confident or chaotic, grounded or restless, calm or reactive. Every leader knows this. Every influencer knows this. Your presence sets the stage for everything that follows. You can't fake it. You can't bluff it. You must develop it intentionally. Step 1. Posture. Stand tall. Shoulders back. Chest open. Head high. Move deliberately, not nervously. Walk as if you own the space, because you do in your mind first, then in reality. Step 2. Eye contact. Not too soft, not too intense. Observe. Engage. Convey confidence without arrogance. Your eyes communicate certainty and self-possession. Step 3. Breathing. Controlled, steady, deep. Your breath controls your energy. Your energy controls your tone. Your tone controls perception. Presence is cumulative. It builds silently over time. It is not a single gesture. It is every action, every movement, every pause combined. Here's a truth: people follow energy before they follow words. If you enter a room unsure of yourself, uncertain, hesitant, people unconsciously discount everything you say. If you enter a room grounded, calm, intentional, people lean in, even before you speak. Presence is your invisible amplifier. It makes your words resonate. It gives your message weight. It gives authority its edge. Leaders understand the importance of anchoring. Before you speak, ground yourself. Take a breath. Feel the floor under your feet. Center your mind. Become fully aware of your body, your energy, and your intent. This small pause before you engage transforms your presence. It tells the room, I am here. I am steady. I am intentional. You don't need to shout. You don't need to argue. You don't need to prove anything. The room feels your authority because you are rooted in it. Presence is also about restraint. Many people mistake busyness for impact. They move too quickly. They speak too often. They react too fast. But real authority comes from measured action, measured words, measured energy. Pause. Observe. Engage only when necessary. The room naturally responds to measured energy with attention and alignment. Remember this phrase, your presence speaks louder than your words. Say it. Repeat it. Make it your mantra. Let's discuss micro-behaviors. The way you stand, sit, or move influences perception. Hands relaxed, not fidgeting. Feet planted, not restless. Head steady, not nodding nervously. Small, deliberate actions accumulate into a powerful presence. People notice. People respect. People respond. Presence is invisible to the untrained eye, but everyone feels it. Step 4. Energy management. Your energy is contagious. If you're anxious, impatient, or reactive, the room mirrors that energy. If you're calm, centered, and deliberate, the room adjusts to your rhythm. Control your energy before you speak. Anchor your mind. Align your body. Steady your tone. The moment you master presence, you no longer need to force attention. It comes naturally. Now let's talk about entrance impact. How you enter a room defines the first impression. Walk in with purpose. Avoid rushing. Avoid scanning nervously. Scan intentionally. Observe. Assess. Stand tall. Your presence communicates, I am confident. I am focused. I am in control. Even before a word is spoken, people notice. Even before a sentence is said, people respect. Presence also demands internal alignment. Your mind, body, and words must match. If you speak confidently but your body is tense, the message weakens. If your posture is strong but your tone is uncertain, people detect the mismatch. Alignment is non-negotiable. It is invisible, yet undeniable. It is the secret that separates leaders from loudmouths. Let's apply this to a real-world scenario. You're about to speak in a meeting. Most people rush in, fumble papers, clear throats nervously, and start talking before thinking. You pause outside the room. Breathe deeply. Adjust posture. Walk in steadily. Take a moment before speaking. Make eye contact. Then speak. The difference is immediate. Your words land with impact. Your message resonates. Your presence reinforces every sentence. Step 5. Maintain presence during pressure. The true test of authority is not when things are easy. It's when chaos hits. When someone challenges you. When plans go sideways. When emotions run high. Most people crumble. They react. They overtalk. They overcompensate. You breathe. You stand. You observe. You respond with deliberate action. Presence under pressure is magnetic. It is undeniable. It is how leaders inspire trust and loyalty. Presence is also quiet. It doesn't require attention-seeking behavior. It doesn't need dramatics. It doesn't beg for validation. It's grounded, intentional, and calm. It's the energy that says, I am capable. I am steady. I am reliable. People notice it subconsciously. They gravitate toward it. They align with it. Presence precedes persuasion. Presence precedes influence. Presence precedes respect. Here's the mantra you must repeat daily. I own my presence. My energy commands attention. My calm is my authority. Say it aloud. Say it to yourself. Make it the foundation of how you move through the world. You cannot fake presence. You cannot cheat it. You must practice it, embody it, and anchor it internally. Final actionable steps. Anchor yourself before speaking. Breathe. Center. Align mind and body. Use posture, gaze, and controlled movements to communicate authority. Manage your energy. Calm, deliberate, intentional. Pause strategically. Let your presence speak before words are used. Maintain presence under pressure. Let chaos reveal your steadiness, not undermine it. Consistency builds invisible authority. Invisible authority builds trust. Trust amplifies influence. Influence earns respect. You've learned to speak with precision. You've learned emotional control. You've learned strategic silence. You've learned influence. Now, you've learned presence. Because before you can command attention, before you can inspire, before you can lead, you must be present. Presence is your foundation. Presence is your anchor. Presence is your power. You mastered presence. Now let's discuss the next level, how to leave people wanting your words, the art of compelling delivery. Chapter 9. Handle conflict like a commander. Conflict. It is inevitable. It is unavoidable. It will find you. And here's the truth. Most people fail at it. They panic. They overreact. They argue. They apologize unnecessarily. They confuse emotion with strength. Leaders don't. Leaders handle conflict like commanders. With calm authority. With precise words. With strategic control. You have a choice. You can let conflict control you, or you can control conflict. That's the key. Most people think winning a conflict means raising their voice, dominating the conversation, or proving the other person wrong. Wrong. That's not leadership. That's chaos. That's ego masquerading as strength. Commanding conflict requires discipline. It requires patience. It requires strategy. And above all, it requires emotional control. Step 1. Pause before reacting. When someone provokes you, your first instinct is to defend, to justify, to attack. Stop. Pause. Breathe. Center yourself. You have a choice. You can react impulsively, or you can respond intentionally. Every commander knows this. Every successful leader knows this. The first action in conflict is control, control of self. Because if you can't control yourself, you cannot control the situation. Step 2. Assess the battlefield. Conflict is not just verbal. It is energy. It is emotion. It is perception. Observe the dynamics. Understand the stakes. Identify who holds influence, who is reactive, and who is silent. You are not here to fight. You are here to navigate. You are here to lead. You are here to win without unnecessary damage. Step 3. Choose your words like weapons. Language is your most powerful tool in conflict. Every word carries weight. Every sentence communicates intent. Do not over-explain. Do not justify unnecessarily. Do not plead. State facts clearly. Speak with authority. Pause. Let the words land. Silence reinforces power. Remember the mantra, words are weapons. Use them with precision. Step 4. Control the tone. Tone dictates the battlefield. A calm, measured tone commands respect and attention. A reactive, angry tone invites chaos and resistance. It's not about being cold or detached. It's about being grounded and deliberate. It's about letting your energy project strength while your words remain strategic. People will listen when they sense control, not desperation. Step 5. Set boundaries decisively. Leaders communicate non-negotiable limits without aggression. You do not need to justify your boundaries. You do not need to explain them endlessly. State your limits clearly. This is acceptable. This is not. No shouting. No pleading. No emotional overdrive. Just clarity and authority. Boundaries command respect. Boundaries prevent escalation. Boundaries establish leadership. Step 6. Lead with questions, not statements. A commander understands the power of inquiry. Questions guide people toward reflection, understanding, and alignment. Instead of arguing, "Why did you do this?" try, "What's your perspective on this?" Questions diffuse tension. Questions create collaboration. Questions establish your position without conflict. Influence wins where force fails. Step 7. Control the room's energy. Conflict escalates when energy spirals. People react, yell, interrupt, or withdraw. A commander controls the room by projecting calm, standing tall, speaking slowly, pausing intentionally. Your energy sets the tone for everyone else. When you are steady, the room stabilizes. When you are calm, others mirror your composure. When you are deliberate, chaos recedes. Presence is not optional in conflict. It is your greatest weapon. Real-world example. Picture a high-stakes negotiation. Opposition is aggressive. Emotions run high. Most people panic. They shout. They flail. They concede too quickly. A commander enters the situation differently. They pause. They observe. They speak last. Every sentence is measured. Every point delivered with calm authority. The opposition reacts to them, not the other way around. By the end of the meeting, the commander has gained alignment without losing composure. They have won influence, not arguments. They have secured respect, not fear. Another example. A team member consistently challenges your directives. Most managers would argue or reprimand loudly. A commander handles it differently. They request a private conversation. They calmly outline the facts, expectations, and boundaries. They ask reflective questions. The message lands. The challenge is neutralized. No public drama. No escalation. Control has been maintained. Respect has been secured. Here's the mantra you must repeat. Conflict is not a battlefield. It is an opportunity to command with calm authority. Repeat it. Internalize it. Make it your operating principle. Conflict is inevitable, but chaos is optional. You decide how it ends. Let's break down actionable steps for commanding conflict. Pause and control your initial reaction. Reacting is weakness. Responding is strength. Assess the situation before acting. Know the dynamics and stakes. Use precise language. Avoid over-explaining or emotionally driven words. Control your tone. Calm authority always wins over reactive aggression. Set clear boundaries. No justification needed. Clarity commands respect. Lead with questions. Guide, don't argue. Influence, don't force. Control the energy of the room. Your composure dictates the group's response. Do this consistently. Conflict becomes manageable. Chaos becomes optional. Respect becomes automatic. Remember, most people fail in conflict because they react emotionally. They respond impulsively. They argue, justify, or plead. Leaders succeed because they pause. They assess. They respond deliberately. They control the energy. They command authority without aggression. You have a choice. Every conflict, every challenge, every disagreement offers the same choice: react or lead. Choose to lead. Choose calm. Choose strategy. Choose authority. Final truth: you cannot avoid conflict. You cannot eliminate disagreement. You cannot control how others behave. But you can control yourself. You can control your words, your tone, your energy, and your presence. And when you do, you transform conflict into an opportunity. An opportunity to demonstrate authority. An opportunity to command respect. An opportunity to lead. You've learned to speak with precision. You've learned tone. You've learned presence. Now, you master the battlefield of conflict. You mastered conflict. Now let's talk about how to leave a lasting impression in every conversation you have. The art of unforgettable delivery. Chapter 10. Speak with purpose, not for approval. Every word you speak carries energy. Every sentence leaves an impression. And yet, most people waste their voice trying to please, convince, or gain approval. That's weakness masquerading as communication. That's the habit of those who have never mastered themselves. Leaders speak with purpose. Leaders do not speak to be liked. Leaders do not speak to fill silence. Leaders speak to impact. You have a choice. You can speak for validation, or you can speak with intent. That's the key. Most people live their lives on other people's terms. They over-explain, justify, apologize too much. They say things they don't mean just to avoid judgment. They crave approval like it's oxygen. Stop it. It's not about pleasing everyone. It's about delivering clarity, authority, and precision. It's about your voice, not their validation. Step 1. Know your message before you speak. Clarity is power. Confusion is weakness. Decide what you need to communicate. Decide what the outcome should be. Then speak. Leaders rarely ramble. Every sentence serves a purpose. Every word earns its place. Repeat this in your mind. Every word must carry weight. Every word must earn its place. If you are unclear internally, your audience will be unclear externally. Purpose begins with certainty. Step 2. Detach from the reaction of others. You cannot control how people respond. You cannot predict approval, agreement, or applause. Trying to do so weakens your voice. Leaders speak and let the impact be measured, not by immediate reactions, but by long-term alignment. Their goal is understanding, not approval. Their goal is clarity, not applause. You have a choice. React to validation, or own your purpose. Choose purpose. Always. Step 3. Eliminate filler language. Stop using I think, maybe, just, or sorry unnecessarily. These words dilute authority. They signal uncertainty. They broadcast the need for approval. Instead, speak decisively. This is the plan. This is the direction. This is expected. Direct, intentional language communicates confidence. Confidence commands respect. Respect is earned, not begged. Step 4. Anchor your message with energy and presence. Before you speak, center yourself. Breathe. Stand tall. Align your body, tone, and mind. Presence amplifies purpose. Without it, even the most brilliant words fall flat. With it, even simple statements resonate powerfully. Remember, influence is invisible until it is recognized. Purpose is only effective when paired with presence. Step 5. Stop explaining yourself unnecessarily. The people who demand explanations often aren't worth your energy. They seek drama, argument, or control. A leader communicates with brevity. They state facts. They define expectations. They move on. You don't need to justify your decisions. You don't need to defend every choice. You don't need to prove yourself constantly. You have a choice. Explain to please, or state with authority. Choose authority. Every time. Step 6. Practice strategic repetition. Purpose is reinforced through repetition. Key points should be stated more than once, without over-explaining. This creates imprinting. It ensures your message lands. For example, state a direction clearly. Pause. Observe. Restate concisely. Repeat phrases that matter. Repeat intentions that matter. You do not overtalk. You reinforce. Repetition is not weakness. It is precision. It is influence. It is leadership. Step 7. Speak with impact, not volume. Many confuse loudness with authority. They believe shouting equals control. It doesn't. It screams insecurity. True authority is calm, measured, deliberate. Impact comes from words weighted with purpose, not decibels. Pause strategically. Let sentences breathe. Let your energy land. People will listen because you own your message, not because you dominate the air. Step 8. Reject the need for approval. Approval is fleeting. It is situational. It is not guaranteed. Leaders do not rely on it. They measure success by clarity and alignment, not applause. When you speak for approval, you dilute power. When you speak with purpose, you amplify it. You have a choice. You can speak to please, or you can speak to lead. Choose to lead. Every word, every sentence, every day. Real-world example. Imagine a manager addressing a team. Most people will over-explain, apologize, or water down instructions to avoid criticism. The result? Confusion, chaos, wasted energy. A leader speaks differently. They deliver a clear message. They define expectations. They pause. They allow the words to land. They do not justify, apologize, or seek approval. The result? Alignment, focus, respect. Purpose drives impact. Approval is irrelevant. Another example. A public speaker addressing a challenging audience. Most speakers try too hard to charm, to convince, to entertain. They speak for validation. They seek nods, laughter, applause. They fail. A leader in the same scenario speaks with clarity. Every word intentional. Every sentence precise. They project calm authority. They ignore reactions. They focus on impact. The audience responds, not because they were appeased, but because the message was unshakable. Step 9. Internalize the mantra, I speak with purpose. I do not speak for approval. Every word is intentional. Every sentence is precise. I lead with clarity. Repeat it daily. Internalize it until it becomes your operating system. Every conversation, every meeting, every interaction must reflect this principle. Purpose is your power. Approval is your weakness. Step 10. Take action immediately. From this moment, evaluate your words. Are they spoken to please? Or are they spoken to impact? Cut filler. Cut hesitation. Cut approval seeking. Own your voice. Own your message. Own the room. This is not optional. This is mandatory if you want to speak like a leader. Final truth. Most people never achieve influence because they speak to please. They overtalk. They overjustify. They overapologize. They sacrifice impact for validation. You don't have to. You have learned precision. You have mastered tone. You have commanded respect. You have built presence. You have handled conflict. You have influenced intentionally. Now you master purpose. Speak intentionally. Speak with clarity. Speak with authority. And never speak to be liked. Never speak to be approved. Speak to lead. Speak to impact. Speak to transform. You have the choice. Every word matters. Every sentence carries energy. Every conversation is an opportunity. Speak with purpose. Not for approval. You've reached the final lesson. The next step is action. Apply it. Repeat it. Live it. This is the voice of a leader. This is your voice.